From the streets of Egypt to the bright lights of Liverpool, Mohamed Salah's rise to football superstardom is an example of determination, skill, and belief. Let's see how this Egyptian king conquered Europe and became one of the game's finest forwards. Humble beginnings. Mohamed Salah was born on the 15th of June 1992 in a small village in Egypt. His childhood would be nothing out of the ordinary. He grew up in the rural part and played football barefoot with his friends for hours with little to no fatigue. Every rock and plastic bottle became a ball, and that's how much that he loved football. There was no infrastructure, but it didn't matter to children anyway. His father noticed his son's obsession with football, but dreams in the village remained dreams because there were no scouts and also no academics. Meaning in order to get into professional football, he would have to forge his own path or forget about his passion. At the age of 8, he then joined a local club in his region and later would move on to train with bigger athletes. However, it seemed that everywhere that he went, he was just too good to play in the academy and would leave in search of a more challenging place. At the age of 14, he was then accepted into a professional club based in Cairo that scouts rarely visited, but if you were lucky, one or two may turn up on occasion. In 2006, he caught the eye of a scout and was invited for a trial at the club's youth academy, which was about 200 kilometers away from his home. It seemed like a golden opportunity, but did come with a brutal reality. He would have to make 4-hour round trips to Cairo every single day for practice. He'd have to miss school and fall behind in his studies and would barely get any sleep because he needed to make the first bus each and every day. As crazy as the schedule was, it was his only chance, and he had no second options. Most people in his shoes would quit because of the stress, but he was a different breed. By 2010, he was 18 years old and had outgrown the youth team. He would then be promoted to the senior squad in the top division. However, coaches worried that he just wasn't ready for the brutal nature of professional football. Salah had proved them all wrong in the first 5 minutes of his senior debut, sprinting past defenders without scoring any goal. And in fact, his first professional goal would not be until 2011. His performance would send shockwaves through Egyptian football. Just as his career was about to take off, tragedy would strike. A violent riot during a match between Al Masry and Al Ahly had left 74 fans dead and hundreds injured. The Egypt Football League would be immediately suspended, and Salah's career became in limbo, but fate had other plans. Every football fan dreams of making the right call and winning big. Now it's your turn to bet on your passion and turn your football knowledge into real crypto winnings. Welcome to Crypto Rush Sportsbook, where every match is an opportunity. Bet on your favorite teams, cash out instantly, and celebrate like a champion. Crypto Rush makes betting easy, fast, and 100% crypto-friendly. Visit Crypto Rush now and start your winning streak today. Use code CR50 and get $50 free to play sportsbook, slots, and casino games. Crypto Rush Sportsbook. Bet smart, win big. Making a name in Europe. At the age of 19, Salah left Egypt for the very first time to move to Switzerland. It became a totally different experience: the language, the weather, and the style of play. Salah was determined to adjust to anything. It wasn't like he had a whole lot of options. For the first time in his career, he felt like the small fish in a big pond. The guys were bigger and stronger, and training was more intense than anything that he had experienced. His club was known for developing top players, and no one expected an unknown Egyptian player to come in and steal the spotlight. Salah scored his first goal in September of 2012 in a league match against Lausanne. The Swiss media began taking notice of him, and on April the 25th of 2013, Chelsea faced off against his club in the UEFA Europa League semifinals. Even though Chelsea had Eden Hazard, Juan Mata, and Fernando Torres, Salah put on a spectacular show and scored in the second leg, though his club would lose on aggregate. And after that match, something had changed. Chelsea wanted Salah. Before considering Chelsea, Salah had some unfinished business. He won the Swiss Super League in 2012 and 13, which was his first major trophy. He scored 10 goals in all of the competitions and would be named Player of the Season, and one of his best goals became in a match at Maccabi Tel Aviv. By now, Chelsea had seen enough. They wanted him in blue. In January of 2014, Chelsea officially signed Mohamed Salah for $11 million. He became the first Egyptian player ever for Chelsea and the most expensive Egyptian player in history, but there was just one problem. Chelsea was a super-studded star team with many greats like John Terry, Frank Lampard, and more, and Salah was in the big leagues now and wasn't quite what he expected. Kicking it with the Blues. When Salah signed for Chelsea in January of 2014, it all felt surreal, as though a dream had finally come true. But within months, that dream would turn to a nightmare. It was a survival of the fittest, and only the strongest made it to the starting lineup. The first few months were a disaster. Even though he showed flashes of brilliance when he was out on the pitch, he had barely gotten any playing time. That was because there were other big fish on the line before him. He had found himself on the bench for months, sitting and watching from the sidelines, with no explanation and no second chance. He was slowly wasting away, and by January of 2015 had made only 8 appearances in the entire season, most of them coming as a substitute. Apparently, the coach had decided that he just wasn't good enough for Chelsea, and in January of 2015, they shipped him off to Italy on loan. Many people thought it was the end of his career, but for Salah, it would only be the beginning. Italy Rebirth. When he arrived in Fiorentina in February of 2015, he felt like he had let himself down. He had gone from being the most exciting young player in Switzerland to being cast aside in England, and instead of feeling sorry for himself, he decided to prove everyone wrong. In the first game, he then scored within moments, and weeks later did the unfathomable. He had helped his team to eliminate Tottenham from the Europa League by scoring a decisive goal. His biggest highlight reel would come on March the 5th of 2015 against Juventus, the most dominant club in Italy. Salah single-handedly destroyed them, scoring 2 magnificent goals, and that night Italy fell in love with Salah. In the 2014 and 15 half season, Salah scored 9 goals in 26 appearances with 4 assists. His confidence would be up by 100%, and he had his eyes set on greater things. Even after an explosive 6 months, Chelsea still did not ask him to rejoin the team. However, there was another club that saw great potential, AS Roma. In August of 2015, Salah signed for Roma on a season-long loan with an option to buy, and it would be Salah's chance to put all the doubts to rest. He didn't waste any opportunity at all. He scored 15 goals in 42 matches with 9 assists, and became Roma's top scorer of the season. He had gone from a Chelsea reject to a superstar in Series A, and in 2016 and 17 took things to another level, dropping 19 goals in 41 appearances with 15 assists. This would lead Roma to second place and their best finish in many years. Salah was unstoppable, and his effort would be rewarded because in May of 2017 the phone rang and Liverpool came calling with a juicy offer. They wanted Salah back to the Premier League, and this time he would go on to make history. Breaking records in Liverpool. Liverpool had been watching Salah from a distance, and finally Jurgen Klopp decided to make a move. They signed him for a jaw-dropping $36.9 million from Roma. Critics felt that he wasn't worth the amount since he had flopped at Chelsea, and he replied to the critics in the best way he could, taking it onto the football pitch. From the first game, he became unstoppable, scoring on his Premier League debut for Liverpool against Watford, and then again scoring his first Champions League goal for Liverpool against Sevilla. He then went into absolute beast mode, scoring 32 goals in 38 games while achieving the most goals scored in a debut Premier League season. He broke Robbie Fowler's record for most goals in a single season for Liverpool, and in April of 2018, his best moment came in the Champions League. He scored twice to secure a 5-3 victory against Roma, finishing with 44 goals in all competitions. It would be the most goals scored by any Liverpool player since 1984. He was crowned the PF Player of the Year and the FWA Footballer of the Year, and also won the Premier League Golden Boot with 32 goals in a season. Salah was now the best player in England. However, something happened that would kill his dreams of winning the Champions League. In the first half of the final with Real Madrid, he clashed with Sergio Ramos, who then dragged him down, dislocating his shoulder. Salah left the field in tears, knowing that Liverpool had just lost the league, and they lost 3-1, with Salah crying tears of defeat. This event did not keep him down for long, though, as he quickly got his act together and braced for the next tournament. Despite his injury, he had refused to miss the World Cup in 2018 and led Egypt to their first World Cup in 28 years. He scored twice in the tournament. However, Egypt would be eliminated in the group stage, and that's when he decided to focus all of his energy trying to win the Champions League for Liverpool. In 2019, he led Liverpool into war, eliminating various teams, and in the Champions League final, he would face Tottenham in a brutal game. The match would end in a 2-0 victory for Liverpool, and finally, he had fulfilled his destiny of becoming a European champion. He won the Champions League and the same year the Premier League Golden Boots, delivering 20 22 goals. Salah had won the most prestigious trophy for his club, but there was still one more to grab: the Premier League. Liverpool had not won the Premier League in 30 years, and it would be up to Salah to change the story. In 2019 and 20, he scored 19 goals with 10 assists, bringing home the League Cup for Liverpool. He remained Liverpool's top scorer for the third consecutive season. And remember when Chelsea rejected him? Well, he had gone from a Chelsea reject to a Champions League and Premier League champion. He silenced each and every critic who had ever doubted him, and there was nothing left to prove. Or was there? Liverpool began to age in 2021. The key players were struggling with injuries, and rivals like Manchester City and Chelsea were becoming stronger. Salah got even more deadly, though. He broke through defenses and took down anyone who was in his path, amassing a ton of accolades in 2021 while finishing the season with 23 goals and 13 assists. He had won his third Premier League Golden Boot, but while he dominated as an individual, Liverpool was suffering a few losses. In 2022, they came close to winning 4 trophies, but in the end had lost the most important Champions League and Premier League Cup. One more time. As 2023 approached, Liverpool was left in a dilemma. Salah's contract was about to expire, and rumors were spreading about where he would go next. The fans had feared the worst, but on July the 21st of 2022, he ended all the speculations by signing a 3-year contract with Liverpool for a mouth-watering $350,000 per week. This would make him the highest-paid player in Liverpool history. It was great, but something happened, and there, for the first time in years, Liverpool had lost its spark. Maine had left for Bayern Munich, and players like Thiago and Jota had struggled with multiple injuries, leaving the midfield looking dreadfully exhausted. Salah was now left as Liverpool's only hope. He had scored 30 goals in all competitions and became their all-time top scorer in the Champions League, but they finished in 5th position in the Premier League, and even worse, completely missed out on the Champions League. All hope would not be lost, though, as Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool's coach, had rebuilt the midfield, signing star players like Alexis Mac Allister and Ryan Gravenberch. Salah, despite having turned 31 years old, remained in top form. In the 23 and 24 season, he delivered 20 goals, finishing 2nd place behind Arsenal in the Premier League. But what happened next would take everyone unaware. Klopp announced that he was leaving Liverpool, and now Salah's mentor was stepping down after years of top-notch performance. It would be an emotional season for him. As he turned 33, he had a big decision to make. Was he going to stay in Liverpool and become one of the greatest players alive, or move to Saudi Arabia for a massive payday and try out a different club? Salah has left an indelible mark in football history and is the first Egyptian to do so.